Welcome. In this video, we're going to talk about covering tough subjects. Now, this is especially maybe for high school yearbook staffs, college too, middle school, maybe, elementary school, probably not. All right. But for the older students, the idea is that students have opinions on things this particular school year. Why not report some of that in the yearbook so that 10, 20, 30, 50 years from now, when people pull that book off the shelf, they want to remember that particular school year. Part of that is, what were people thinking and feeling that particular year about different kinds of subjects? Most yearbook staffs do absolutely nothing with this, which I think is too bad, because students have opinions on things same way as adults do. And they feel strongly about this, they feel strongly about that. Why not report some of that in your yearbook so that we remember what people were thinking and feeling that unique particular school year, which is unlike any other school year? It is. What do people think and feel that time? Well, that's where we cover what I call tough subjects. Yearbook is journalism. We are journalists, we are storytellers, and unlike a lot of other things, yearbooks are made for life. And so people are going to get your yearbook and they're going to keep it for 30, 50, 60, 70 more years after they pass away. The yearbook will still be there. We want to remember what happened in 1952. Well, we get a 1952 yearbook, we can find out if we add some of that extra storytelling in there to let our readers know, here's what folks were thinking in 1952 or this particular year. All right. So first thought is, okay, what are the subjects, topics, hot items that are on the minds of students right now? All right, depending on when you're watching this. What are people talking about? They're definitely talking about something. Now, it could be at different levels. It could be something international. It could be something national. It could be something statewide. Could be something local, or just to your particular school. There's some controversy or there's some hot topic going on right now that people, students, have opinions about. Why not do some kind of coverage of that in the yearbook this year so that future people know, here's what people were thinking during that particular year? All right. It deserves to be in the yearbook. And keep in mind, again, every year is unique. So next year's hot topics are probably going to be different. And the year after that, going to be different again. This thing comes up, this thing happens, and so on. What are students thinking and feeling about that? Let's report some of that in your yearbook this year. All right, now, here's some basic notes, okay? First off, present facts, all right? Here's the facts of this particular topic. Do not, yearbook staff, put in your opinions. Nobody cares about the yearbook staff's opinion on anything. Do not put it in there, because now you're putting your own bias in there, and some people are going to get the book and they're not going to agree with that bias. And so they're going to think, why did I waste my money buying this yearbook? Look what these people think. No, you are simply the reporters. What are other people, students, thinking and feeling about this particular subject? There's a really great term. It's called authentic voice. An authentic voice is simply, you go out and talk to people, ask them some questions about whatever this hot topic is, record the conversation, bring it back, figure out what you want to use exactly, and instead of writing something up, making something up on your own, just put the words down from Joe Smith of how he feels about this particular topic. And it's essentially a quote, is what it is. Authentic voices use their own words to tell how they feel about whatever the topic is. There's no need for you to make it up. Let them do the talking. You're just doing the presenting. Don't advocate, all right? That is not your position as a reporter. Your position as a reporter and as a storyteller is, okay, here's the hot topic, here's the basics, here's what people had to say about it or how they felt about it. And then put those things down on a page, preferably like a person's like headshot, and then maybe a caption box and so on. Here's their views on this topic or that topic, and so on. Try to balance it out. Now, if you've got some topic where essentially, you do a survey or something and 3-to-1 students feel this way rather than this way, all right, probably in your reporting on a page or a spread, it should be 3-to-1. All right. In other words, don't say, oh, we got to balance this. If it's 3-1, it's not balanced. That's not 50-50. And so the idea here is, all right, we've got the majority. Here's what they had to say. Meanwhile, these folks, well, here's what they had to say. All right. And don't take any leanings at all. You're simply the reporters and the storytellers. Now, advisors, hopefully you have student editors. All right. Hopefully you've got student editors helping you to lead the effort. Let your student editors lead on this, advisors. Do not be the leader yourself. All right. This is their yearbook. Hopefully they're sort of in charge and running the parade. Let them run what this reporting is going to be. Your job is essentially just guide them, to advise them. If any red flags come up, you point out the red flag like, we probably don't want to go there, or that's not a good one right there. Let them do the leading rather than you, because at some point in the future, if somebody squawks for some reason about reporting on an issue, who's the first person to get contacted? That'd be you, the advisor. If you can say, hey, my student editors put this together, they did it very responsibly, so there it is. Now all of a sudden, advisor, that stress, if you will, should never show up, all right, because you didn't make the decision, your student editors did. All right, so keep that in mind for future reference. Now, editors, here's something you should do. Keep your school administration kind of in the loop here, all right? Every year I see stories in the media about somebody did some reporting about some issue and somebody had some really hot comments or something in there, and somebody doesn't like it, a parent or somebody, and they blow up and they go to administration. Then administration comes rolling down the hallway to you, and there's problems, and it makes the media not a good situation. And it shouldn't happen, because simply if you keep your administration kind of in the loop, hopefully then at that point they've got your back. In other words, go to them to say, hey, we plan to do this, and let them know what you want to do. You're not trying to be controversial. You're simply reporting how people are thinking and feeling about different topics this year. Let your admin know we're going to be doing this. It's going to be balanced, if you will. It's going to be fair to all sides. And we're not trying to pick a fight. We're not trying to advocate. We're simply reporting. And I think if you take the time to do that, you'll probably get absolutely no pushback from your administration. They're going to say, okay, maybe I want to kind of keep an eye on this a little bit, but you go ahead and do some good reporting. I look forward to seeing it later when the book is published. Keep them in the loop so nobody gets surprised. Get them on your side, if you will, so you have that extra person helping you out. That's only a good thing. Student editors, again, that's your job, not the advisor's job. Student editors, that's your job, to go to admin, let them know what you're doing for your yearbook so that there will be no surprises later. All right, there we go. Here's another thing to do, and it doesn't have to be really super long, but do a written editorial policy. In other words, get together and figure out, okay, when we do this reporting, here's how we're going to do it. And literally write it down and print it out for everybody to see. Get some input from administration. Get some input maybe from teachers or parents, or however far you want to go with this. In other words, we're saying, hey, we're not trying to pick a fight. We're not trying to make controversy. We're simply reporting how people are thinking and feeling this year. Make a written down editorial policy. I mean, it might be, maybe a whole sheet of paper, sort of a how-to thing. And then, of course, post it and follow it. And then for the years that follow you, the future groups of your yearbook staff will have your written policy. Now, could they adjust it later? Yeah, they probably could. But the idea is, here's how we think about this. Here's how we're going to handle this, so that there's no questions later. You can say, if somebody says, why did you do that? You can pull out, hey, we have a policy. Right here it is. And they can read it for yourself. Don't just, though, as your own tiny little group, try to come up with this. Reach out to those other groups, administrators, teachers, maybe other students, maybe parents, and so on. Get their input on this, put it together in a policy, and you are good as gold and really, really solid. All right, don't go it alone. Again, here's a question I've used for many years. Make a sign out of this. And the sign simply says, what do we want people to remember 30 years from now? Or change it to some other number if you want, because that's a main reason we make the yearbook. And part of that is letting people know here's how we felt 30 years ago about this topic, maybe this one, maybe that one. And that's the reason that we put this stuff in here. Trust me, your readers will absolutely value this, not maybe right away, but again, years from now, when they pull that book off the shelf, like, oh, yeah, I remember that topic. Oh, man, that was crazy that year. That's right. I remember. Here's some of my friends, and here's how they felt about it. Or there's me. Here's how I felt about it. 30 years later, maybe I've totally changed my opinion. All right. But when I was in school 30 years ago, that's how I felt about that. Great reading, great storytelling for any yearbook. All right, so let's do a quick student activity here. If you haven't ever done this before, maybe as soon as the video's done, as a group, discuss some topics hot right now this year that people are talking about. Make a list and then figure, okay, how can we do coverage of these topics so that we can put it in this year's book? Who's going to do it? How are we going to handle it? And so on. That could be the start of your editorial policy that I talked about a minute ago. But the idea right now as a group, just sit down, okay, what's going on this year? What are people talking about? And it could be serious, it could be lighthearted, it could be about sports, some local, pro football team or something. It could be anything. What are people talking about? Make a list and then start to figure out, okay, how can we cover this in this year's book? And have fun with this because people, again, are going to love reading about this. Thanks for watching.